If you've ever stood in the middle of a home gym and wondered whether any piece of equipment could actually keep up with the way you want to train, whether it can handle the heavy lifts, the quick changeovers, and the everyday wear and tear, this is exactly the question that brings us here. You're looking for something reliable, easy to live with, and worth the money, not just a machine that boasts a long list of features on paper. The risk of buying the wrong functional trainer is real. You end up with a bulky piece of metal that takes up space, frustrates you with awkward adjustments, or simply can't handle the loads you need for serious strength work. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Inspire Series FT2 Pro Smith Functional Trainer promises unparalleled safety and efficiency, effortless transitions, and a full-body workout capacity in a single footprint. Those sound great until you examine how they translate into day-to-day use. First off, the design revolves around two wide, adjustable pulleys that slide across 40 vertical positions, plus a set of upper pulleys that let you mimic cable crossovers, rows, and lat pulls without having to re-rack plates. In practice, this means you can load a bar for a bench press, then, with a simple lever, move the cable system to a low row position and start a set of seated rows. No need to walk over to a separate station or readjust a heavy stack. That fluidity is a genuine time saver for anyone who values a tight workout flow, especially in a home gym where space is at a premium. Who should buy the FT2 Pro? If you're already comfortable with the basics of a Smith bar, meaning you appreciate the guided motion for safety, but you also want the freedom to add cable work without buying a second machine, the FT2 Pro feels like a logical next step. It's especially suited for intermediate lifters who are starting to incorporate more accessory work, such as triceps pushdowns, face pulls, or cable curls, into their routine. The 350-pound capacity on the Smith bar means you can load a decent amount of weight for compound lifts, while the dual stack system lets you keep a solid 100-pound weight range available at any moment. For families that share the gym space, the ability to switch between barbell and cable exercises without moving equipment can keep the whole household moving and reduce conflict over equipment usage. On the other side of the coin, anyone who is a pure powerlifter aiming for maximal loads, say, squats well over 500 pounds or deadlifts that require a full range of motion, might find the FT2 Pro limiting. The guided bar path, while safe for many, can feel restrictive during certain lifts where a natural bar arc is preferred. Also, if you're looking for a minimalist setup that focuses on just one or two primary lifts, the added pulleys and cable system could be unnecessary bulk. Lastly, renters with strict ceiling height limits should double-check the vertical clearance. The machine's full reach can approach ceiling heights that leave little room for overhead presses if your ceiling isn't at least 8 feet. Now let's talk about the practical strengths that matter after the box is opened. The most immediate win is the effortless transition claim. When I set the trainer up for a typical push-pull session, moving from a bench press to a cable fly took less than 10 seconds. The selector lever is heavy-duty and locks into place with a satisfying click, which reduces the chance of a half-adjusted position slipping mid-set. This is not just a convenience, it also reduces wear on the moving parts because the mechanism isn't constantly being forced back and forth. In a house where you might be training 4 days a week, that smoothness translates into less maintenance over time. Another practical advantage is the upgradable weight stacks. The base model comes with two 150-pound stacks, but they can be swapped out for heavier plates if you ever outgrow the current range. That future-proofing is something you rarely see in budget-oriented functional trainers. If you start at a 150-pound stack, use it for a year or two, and then decide you need an extra 30-pound plate for a specific exercise, you won't have to replace the whole machine, just the stack. This modularity can be a cost saver if your strength goals evolve, and it adds a layer of confidence that the trainer won't become obsolete as quickly as a static system would. When it comes to weaknesses, the most noticeable trade-off is the footprint. The FT2 Pro sits on a fairly wide base to support the dual pulleys and the Smith bar's rails, which means you'll need a dedicated corner of a garage or a spare room. If you're working with a compact apartment, you may find the required space a deal breaker, especially considering you'll also need clearance behind the bar for benching and in front for cable work. Additionally, the pulley system, while smooth, is driven by a set of steel cables that can show wear after heavy, repetitive use. If you're consistently loading the full 350-pound capacity and also using the cables for high rep sets,